Is a recording on marriage and hookup culture and disgust and how and a little bit of racism. So the subject of racism and how that relates to hookup culture and marriage and uh, precocious, promiscuous young people and how that comes from a lack of parenting and care. So nobody likes to be thought of as a racist, and what appears to be racism. If you know somebody who uses slurs like the N-word and stuff like that, you're really dealing with somebody who's envious and offended and disgusted, and it has a lot to do with hookup culture and premarital sexual intercourse and extramarital intercourse and you know sexuality and what is also less commonly referred to as lovemaking, the act of making love. Um, um, we, as a culture, have degraded, and it's no longer about long-term partnerships and loyalty and investment and taking care of each other, but it's more about um, getting discarded and dumped and being discarded and then trying to save face. So, if you're somebody who was sexually active outside of a marriage as a, in junior high school or high school, you often want to clean up the mess afterwards. And you're looking for somebody who is going to help you out of the situation you're in, the heartbreak, the trauma, the confusion. Um, and so you target the next person. And so sexuality is a source of disgust for many people. There's not many people who enjoy sexual intercourse after the age of 25 because if you do find somebody who you're attracted to and who you can kiss on the lips and get romantic with, you still don't know where that person was before you. So, how many sexual partners they had before you, and how clean they are, and how willing you are to really do anything much besides um, you know sometimes a man wants the thrill of sexual intercourse, but he also wants to please the lady. But how can he please a woman when he's secretly disgusted by where her vagina has been with previous partners? Um, that's why sexual intercourse is considered sacred and considered to be something that you protect and reserve and preserve for one partner throughout your life, kind of like a swan. Swans mate for life. They don't go through five or six or seven sexual partners and then expect to have satisfying sexual intercourse after the age of 30, after you're on your seventh or eighth partner. Um, things get really loose. And, you know, when you want to please and satisfy, but you're too disgusted to do it. That's the tragedy of hookup culture and of dating, where you're dumping and disposing and trying to find something better. Sometimes trying to run back to the previous partner who is no longer who is disgusted. And this brings us back to racism because there's lots of different races, and it could be Lebanese, it could be African, it could be all sorts of different races involved in the dating pool. um, the racist guy is really not racist at all. I believe he's disgusted and he's envious and he's offended, and because nobody wants second-rate experiences or secondhand goods. um, it's you could call it a game, but it's also something more than a game. It's sacred, and that's why people get so upset when they're crossed and their boundaries are crossed, and they're feeling like the act of lovemaking has reduced into something vulgar and cheap, and all sorts of swear words and slang words used to describe sexual intercourse. You know, lovemaking versus sexual intercourse. There's a difference, and some people got have it in their head that they can just go around and engage in sexual intercourse for some sort of thrill. I suppose for some you can, but I don't know how you do it for very long without eventually becoming disgusted and turned off. Um, but as a 44-year-old, I can tell you that, I feel mostly disgust when I think about the prospect of going on a dating site and hooking up or falling in love with somebody who has had how many previous partners have you had? And why do you think that that's appealing to me? Um, by the time you have between the ages of 17 and 25, you have a chance to get your life together and find a partner. And if you're in your, even after the age of 21, it's suspect. It's like you're just shopping around and trying out different people, and um, we don't learn. I don't believe we learn anything. The responsibility, like thinking like an adult, is like you got rent and mortgage to pay. You've got don't forget to take the garbage out. You've got distinguishing between recyclables and compost and regular waste. You've got phone bill, phone bills to pay, internet, um, all the laundry to do, all the cost of living, all the work that goes into making life possible. And you think that you're going to compartmentalize and have that little naughty part of your life where you do something sexual, and you think that that's not sacred or something that's not precious, that somebody's time is not precious to them, and that they care about purity. And after you've been with a certain amount of sexual partners, you're not pure. And I don't know what this whole thing about getting your purity back with who? Maybe to yourself, but to the other people who have to deal with you, you're not necessarily pure. Um, you're spoiled. You're accustomed to a certain standard of living, and you're not impressed. It's like that Shania Twain song, "That don't impress me much," and that's you when you're a spoiled 25 to 30-year-old adult who's on their fourth or fifth or sixth sexual partner. You've got the Shania Twain disease. That don't impress me much. And it doesn't impress me either. I'm actually disgusted. And it's to please a lady properly is involves making love to her. And that means that you have to have purity of heart. And you can't have that when you're some part of you is one of your old relationships is kind of niggling and wedging its way into the new one. And you know like my previous video I said about comparison, and it's a go harder, go quicker, go faster than that culture. You got to do better than that. um, it's not good enough, and that's because you're accustomed to the previous person who you betrayed, and who you're accustomed to a certain standard that what happened to that good thing that you had. Why didn't that work out? And why do you think you can talk down to me and talk to me like you're not impressed? Well, What happened to your previous help? It's what I say to any employer. You know, if you're falling behind at work and you feel like you got to pick on an employee and threaten to fire him, um, what about your other employee? Like, what happened to those employees? Why aren't they working as well as they should have been? Or why does the blame or the criticism fall on me? Is what I want to know. And but that's life as a 40-year-old. There's that John Cougar Mellencamp song. Life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. And the thrill of living has long passed me. And I really don't see the appeal of Plenty of Fish or any dating sites for Match or anything like that. You guys are burnt out. You guys have had too much of a good thing, is what I have to say to anybody my age. Is that I want to know what happened to your previous relationships and why that didn't work, and how much of that has to do with your attitude and your spoiled mentality and your betrayal of your previous partner.